So for layer comps, they're usually useful when we're trying to rearrange items, especially for a menu where we have lots of shapes and tools to work with. What I'm going to go and do is go to File, New, and then I'm going to go do a print of a letter. This is very similar to what we did for the capstone projects. And then how about, per our other examples, I'm just going to go ahead and use my rectangle tool, which is down here, to fill in a few images here. So let's say I want a banner at the top, then I want a few guys on these sides. Let's just say I want him. Let me duplicate this layer. Let me bring him over here and so forth. And then maybe I can put an ellipse right here. So after I have my little layout done, I can go ahead and look around here, and let's just say that I have to do this a few times. Let's just say that I'm providing something to a client and I have to provide 3 different types of menus. What you could do is I could go into File, New, Print Letter, and then I can go ahead and try and drag all of these guys over to New Projects, and then it's copied over there. But let's just say I'm trying to impress the client, so what I can do then is try to move the shape down here, try to move it up here, and so forth. But you'll notice that this can get a bit complicated pretty fast, especially if you're working with multiple projects and a lot more layers than these 4. So what you can do instead is do something called layer composition or layer comps. Inside of the syllabus, oops, seems to close it, there's a link to this layer comp, which I would recommend reading through. It's very helpful. But I could show you as well, to get access to the layer comp, you can go into Window, and then something called layer comps at the bottom down there, underneath layers. After you click that, you'll notice underneath your brush panel, you'll have an LAC panel that you can work with. And this is a little complicated when you first start out, so I'll just go through this step by step. This panel right here allows you to edit a bunch of different items at once, and pretty much allows you to refresh your states of the document. So what I mean by that is that I can save the current state of the document and then go back to it at a later stage. To do that, you'll see something down here that is called New, and it looks like the new folder icon. I can click that and you'll notice that I get something called New Comp 1. I can double click on this New Comp 1 to go ahead and select the name. I could type it in anything I'd like. Maybe I can call this the original menu, and I like how it looks. There's a bunch of visibility effects and the movement effects, but for our purposes right now, let's just say that we don't need to worry about these just yet. Let's just say instead of having to copy all these over to a new folder, I go ahead and move them around in this current one. Easy. So let me deselect all my shapes here. So how about I move this shape up to here? I move this big shape at the very top to the bottom. And then I'm going to go ahead and move this shape here, this shape over here. Now what I can do is that if this is my new menu layout, I can hit LAC again. I could hit this new update button right here. Excuse me, this new copy button right here. I can double click on the name, and then I can type in something that maybe says version 2. Now, what does this mean here? I have all these items here that I can click on. Well, what I can do is actually hit this button that's on these minus signs, and it allows me to swap between my versions here. Now, as you can see, obviously for my purposes here, it's not that complicated, but this is very powerful if you're using it for your menus. I can swap between my versions on the go, and let's just say that I really like how my version 2 looks, but I kind of want to change it a bit more. I can go and select my shape again. I can go to Edit, Free Transform. I can make this a lot bigger maybe, and maybe I like how this is. I could save it. Go into my LAC, and then I can hit my new button, and then I can say version 3. And now I'm able to swap between all of my versions of my, my shape seems to still be big there, of my document and the positions they're in. Now, if you see there's a problem here, you'll notice that my shape is still massive in the center, and that's kind of the nature of this layer composition. The layer composition doesn't save the state of the sizes or the effects that are applied in each layer. It only saves where they're located. So if I went ahead and made all of these massive inside of this document version, when I swap it between these versions, it's going to save them as that size. So this is really beneficial for kind of starting out and having all of your items done and just rearranging where they're located. You don't really want to do this for swapping between the types of your state there. Now let's just say that my original version that I have here, I kind of like how it looks with the bigger one, but you'll notice if I go back to my original, it doesn't save it to where it is here. What you can do is move this big item to wherever you'd like. I kind of like it right there. And then you can go ahead and select this version. Do you see how it's kind of darkly highlighted? And there's a button at the very bottom that says update. If you hit update, of course, what it will do, it will update that layer composition to contain that new item that we moved there. So again, in summary, layer compositions are ways for you to arrange your tools and figure out how you want them to be laid out. But please remember that it won't it won't save layer effects. And what I mean by that is, let's just say that I want to make this, let's see here, maybe black and white. It's a shape layer. But for our purposes here, if I made this black and white, each version of it will be black and white as well. It doesn't differentiate between the effects. All it cares about is the positions of it. So that is layer composition, and that will be very helpful in case you want to try out different ways of how your project will look. And as you can see, it's very small in space and size. I don't need to make multiple projects, and I also don't need to copy and paste through multiple projects as well.